Hey Internet, how are you? I'm Craig Black. I am a gamer and I have been for a long time. And I have found myself watching a lot of YouTube videos and other videos on how to game, etc., etc. And I thought to myself, well, I've been gaming for a long time. I think I'd like to give this a whirl, see whether or not there's anything that I can share about my gaming that might help other people or that they might be interested in. So, who am I? I am an IT professional. I've been a technologist now for 27 years or so, a long time. And I'm also a project manager. I've managed some larger things, putting stuff together for people. And it's funny how that project management has actually helped me in my gaming, because a lot of the disciplines that you have in one area of your life actually help another area of your life. And I guess I'll go into a little bit deeper here. My passion is gaming. I love gaming in all of its forms. Role-playing at the table behind me here. I do so on a regular basis, generally 2 or 3 times a week, which to me is the king of gaming, role-playing. But I also play some computer games and some board games. I have been a gamer since 1981. I was 13 at the time, so if you can do some math there, that makes me really old. And since that time, I have tried a lot of different things. Now, one thing I should tell you is that I've spent very, very little time as a player. In the 38 years that I've been playing games, I have probably sat on the other side of the table as a player perhaps 30 times altogether, which is probably less than once a year. The criteria for any success in a game, however, is deep story. The story really tells itself. The players are interested in that story, that they're interested in seeing it advance. You know, there's twists that they don't see coming, and they want to know what happens next. But also player satisfaction, not character satisfaction, but player satisfaction. The idea that players actually walk away from the table really feeling like they are kick ass, that they can do heroic things, that when they endanger their lives, it's not suicidal, but they can risk enough to actually make a difference. When I do that, I know that I have accomplished what I am attempting to do as a GM. My criteria for failure, which I think is important to state as well, is when I don't receive any feedback from a game. Because generally when I GM, I'll get people who message me afterwards saying, hey, that was great, wondering if this could happen, you know, thinking about developing my character this way, what do you think about this storyline, etc. I always know when my campaign is not as successful or not as popular with my players, when I don't get a lot of that. When they're emailing me every couple of days, and I do have a number of groups, so I'm lucky that I have a constant flow, I know that I am touching them in a way, oh, that sounded bad. I am affecting them in a way that they are really enjoying. And when they don't call me, etc., I know that's wrong. I also don't like it when the world is so developed or is so intimidating that the players feel powerless to act. And that kind of ties into some of the conversation that I like to have later regarding that, which is, you know, how do you have those characters, anyhow, jumping ahead. I have played a lot of systems. As I kind of wrote the script for this, I was recognizing exactly how many systems have come and go underneath my tenure as a GM. Basic D&D, my first one, of course, I was 13. It was the only thing available at the time, and then we went on to AD&D. When I was around 17, I discovered this little game called RuneQuest, and it kind of changed my eyes forever. A lot of the mechanics were different in RuneQuest. We went on to, you know, where you could have a character who was very experienced, but necessarily still could die with a single blow. And to me, that was like, wow, mind-blowing, right? Went on to play the Hero Systems, GURPS, World of Darkness, Song of Ice and Fire, Savage Worlds, Cyberpunk, Ubiquity, Cortex, Coda, Modiphius 2D20, The One Ring, Traveler, Blades in the Dark, Apocalypse World, and so on and so on. And from each of these systems, I found that there were subsystems or things that I really loved about the system. But to play different things, you had to play different systems, and over time I have slowly sort of paired them off and pulled some of the mechanics out of those systems that I really like to make things that are my own, like uniquely my own. Which is one of the things that I really want to talk about in some of these videos, is how to do that and why I do that, etc. I've also played a number of settings, pre-generated settings. Birthright, Middle-earth, of course, everybody's playing Middle-earth, Terra Nova, Dark Sun, Third Imperium, Harn, Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, Deadlands Noir in New Orleans, Rokugan. But for the mainstay, my gaming has been entirely, not entirely, but most predominantly homebrews. Because when I look at a system like a Birthright or a Forgotten Realms or a Rokugan, there are many things that I really love about those systems, but that don't necessarily reach me as a storyteller. So, like, let's take Rokugan, for example. I love the Scorpion Betrayals. Spoiler alert if you didn't know that. But a lot of the other stuff that went around that, I found that really difficult to sort of work into my own game. So when I ended up playing my Japanese flavor role-playing games, I ended up incorporating a lot of that stuff, but then there's a bunch of other stuff that I took as well that helped me present a story that I thought really affected my players, that really drew them in. I'm currently running, I currently have a group of friends. There are 12 of us all together, me being the 12th, and we play in different assortments, five regular games. We are playing in the Harn system, or the Harn world. However, we're playing with Modiphius's 2D20 Conan system. So this is, I'm pretty sure if the creator, Robin Crosby, knew what what we were doing with his, you know, very carefully detailed, meticulously created world, he'd probably roll over. But it's just the way that my players like to play. They are looking for something where they can, you know, face the mythic horrors and enjoy themselves. I also have a long-running Traveler game, which originally was built using the Traveler rules, but we had some challenges with advancement, and so we've actually moved to another system called Coriolis, which is a little bit more indie. And the players have been really enjoyed and really had some engagement with Coriolis. It's a little bit rougher in play, but that's okay. Some of the rules that we use tend to find the players in unusual circumstances, and I think the more open-endedness of the Coriolis rules, so that kind of helps with that. I'm also playing several Pathfinder adventure paths, sort of merged together as one, but we're not using the Pathfinder system. The Pathfinder system, I find I've played it once as a player. I found it really heavy, really crunchy, and I have a couple of players who are relatively new, and so I play that system. I play that game with Savage Worlds. I also play another Savage Worlds setting, Interface Zero, based in the Free City of Vancouver, which is basically a very classic cyberpunky kind of system. I've played with Cyberpunk 2020. I enjoyed it. It's an older system, and you know, some of the rough edges are still there. I also find it incredibly lethal, and so when, you know, your characters are sliding across the hood of a car and, you know, bullet clips them in the spleen, and that's the end of their character, it's not really the flavor I'm really after. And finally, I also play a post-apocalyptic world heavily inspired by Metro 2033. Mutants crawling around everywhere. People attempting to find a cure for the plague which is causing these mutants, which is just a lot of fun. We play that one using almost exclusively Google Maps, which is also kind of an interesting thing when we're exploring some of the highways and byways in North Carolina, which is where the characters are right now. Why am I casting? Well, I watch a lot of different YouTubers, and those YouTubers almost exclusively, I watch two types of YouTubes. I watch political YouTubes and I watch gaming YouTubes. So my channel is kind of an interesting, like when it suggests what I should watch next, I'm pretty sure that the algorithms are going crazy trying to figure out exactly what it is that I should be seeing. However, there are several amazing gaming streamers, or not streamers, but YouTubers who I I have a tremendous amount of respect for. But I've noticed that a lot of their focus tends to be with new gamers and getting new gamers involved, getting new GMs involved. Like, what do you do? Well, just play. Well, true, but I've been just playing for a long, long time, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in my situation as well. People who end up with, game mastering for a long time, and are now prepared to go beyond the keep it small to, hey, what does it look like when it's large, and when we start building things a little bit bigger, and we start going down the rabbit holes of deep campaign development, or house rules, or changes to systems, or adding mechanics from one system to another, like bolting things together to make something that is unique to you, but that you really want to play because you like this flavor, but this system really works better for you. Also, the idea of, I buy a lot of gaming materials. Like, there's a ton of stuff that goes on sale. Bundle of Holding is a good friend of mine, and they've seen much of my money. Shame. Anyhow, but a lot of the material I buy it not because I ever intend to play the systems that are actually involved there, but instead because they have ideas, and I have developed a system for mining those ideas. Not a codified system, but I will take those modules, and from every module I take, there is something that I can pull out that will make a game that I am playing better. And so I like to talk about some of that and actually go through some examples of how I do that. And then finally, I like to do some reviews of settings, having played in those settings. So rather than from oh, hey, this is neat and new and creative, etc., actually sort of doing a review of an old gamer, I guess, who has actually played the settings, for more than a few sessions, and some of the weaknesses we found in some of the strengths we found in the settings, some of the stuff that we discarded because it was just too problematic to work with, but also other things where, we would walk away from it, and to this day I still have players going, oh, do you remember when in Dark Sun X happened? Yeah, so I like to do that as well. Anyhow, that is already longer than I wanted it to be, so I'm going to sign off for now, and I hope to see you back soon.